The world thought it was just another tragedy. But what happened just hours before Malcolm Jamal Warner took his final breath is something no one was prepared to hear.
Is it a soundstage? Is this real?
Are you kidding? That's the real thing.
That's the real deal?
Yes, and we were out there for ages because the weather was not kind to us.
A leaked voicemail, a tear-soaked letter, and a phone call that shattered a bond built over decades. Just when fans were beginning to process the devastating news of Malcolm's sudden death, an even more chilling layer of the story began to unfold. Malcolm Jamal Warner was not just an actor. He was a cultural symbol, a man who grew up in front of millions of people as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. His boyish charm and natural humor made him the heart of one of television's most iconic families. But behind the laughter, behind the family-friendly image, there were storms no one truly saw. As Malcolm got older, the bright lights of Hollywood dimmed. The roles became fewer, the spotlight grew colder, and behind that smile was a man wrestling with insecurities, fears, and heartbreak. He wanted the world to remember him, not just as Theo, but as Malcolm, the man with his own voice, his own dreams, and his own struggles. Those closest to him knew something was weighing on him in the final days. He had been quieter than usual, distant, almost as if carrying a burden too heavy to share. He avoided calls from friends, missed important meetings, and in rare moments when he did speak, his voice carried a heaviness no one could quite place. But then came the voicemail. A chilling message recorded just hours before his death. A voice that cracked with emotion. A confession that hinted at secrets long buried. A voicemail that would soon be leaked, shocking fans and friends alike. And while many believed it was simply the cry of a man in pain, others began to wonder. Was Malcolm trying to tell us something more? Was there a warning hidden in his words? As investigators pieced together the final hours, they discovered a tear-soaked letter left behind. The handwriting uneven, the ink smudged from tears. It was not just a goodbye, it was a revelation, a message that spoke of betrayal, loneliness, and a truth he feared would never be understood. The words hinted at broken trust, a fractured relationship, and a pain that fame could never erase. Then came the phone call, a conversation overheard that night, a call that shattered the silence and left more questions than answers. Who was on the other end? What did Malcolm say in those final moments? And why has the truth of that call been buried in whispers and speculation? This was not just the story of an actor fading from the spotlight. It was the story of a man caught between the weight of fame and the fragility of being human. The laughter of Theo Huxtable may have brought joy to millions, but the voice on that voicemail revealed the haunting truth of Malcolm Jamal Warner's final hours. And as the pieces come together, one chilling reality remains clear. This was not just a tragedy. This was a mystery, a puzzle that forces us to ask not just how Malcolm died, but why. Stay with us because what we are about to uncover will change the way you see everything about his life and his death forever. But the mystery surrounding Malcolm Jamal Warner did not end with that tear-stained letter. Fans who thought they had seen every side of the actor suddenly found themselves questioning everything they knew. Hours before his passing, Malcolm had received a call that shook him to the core. Those close to him say his voice trembled. He spoke in riddles, hinting at secrets too heavy for one man to carry, and yet he never revealed them in full. What was said on that call remains one of the most haunting unanswered questions. His phone records show it came from a blocked number. The voicemail that followed was unlike anything his family expected. In it, Malcolm's tone was raw, his words scattered between desperation and defiance. He mentioned betrayal, he mentioned trust, shattered, he mentioned being watched. Whether it was paranoia or a painful truth is something no one can agree on. The letter found by his bedside only deepened the confusion. It was soaked in tears, as if each line carried the weight of years of regret. Malcolm wrote about feeling caged by fame, haunted by choices that could not be undone, and tormented by the fear that his legacy would be rewritten by others once he was gone. He asked for forgiveness from someone unnamed. He warned about forces that did not want the truth to surface. It read less like a goodbye and more like a coded confession. Looking back on his career, fans remember Malcolm not only as the lovable Theo Huxtable, but as a man who tried to escape the shadow of his childhood fame. He fought to be taken seriously in Hollywood, exploring music, poetry, and directing. Yet beneath the surface, he carried scars of being typecast and judged for roles he never asked to be defined by. He often spoke about mental health, about the price of silence in an industry built on image. Those words now feel eerily prophetic. Some say his death was a tragic accident, others whisper of darker possibilities. The blocked call, the cryptic voicemail, the unfinished letter all suggest a man who was cornered at a time when he needed peace the most. Conspiracy theories have spread. Some believe he was silenced. Others insist he foresaw what was coming and tried to warn those he loved. Whatever the truth, one fact remains undeniable. Malcolm Jamal Warner's final hours were filled with shadows and secrets we may never fully understand. As tributes pour in, fans cannot shake the feeling that there is more to the story. Every photograph, every memory now carries a different weight. The boy who made the world laugh grew into a man who left behind questions too heavy to ignore. And perhaps that is the real tragedy. Not just the loss of a beloved star, but the silence that lingers in place of answers. The final hours of Malcolm Jamal Warner's life were not just filled with mystery, but with echoes of unfinished truths. The leaked voicemail that surfaced days after his passing hinted at a burden too heavy for one man to carry. It was not simply a goodbye. It sounded more like a coded message, a warning to someone he cared for deeply. Yet when investigators tried to trace its origin, they ran into walls of silence. The person on the other end of that line remains unnamed, their identity still locked away. Then came the letter, a tear-stained page found among his personal belongings. Written in a hurried hand, it revealed guilt, regret, and a desperate attempt at reconciliation. Some close friends believe the letter was intended for his daughter. Others think it was meant for an estranged friend from his Cosby Show years. The words hinted at betrayal, at promises broken, and at secrets never shared publicly. The discovery of that letter sent shockwaves through Hollywood circles, forcing many to question whether Malcolm had been living with hidden turmoil all along. But it was the phone call on the night before his death that remains the most haunting. According to neighbors, a heated exchange could be heard through the thin apartment walls. The conversation began calmly, but soon erupted into raised voices. Malcolm sounded desperate, repeating the phrase, "You do not understand, I cannot do this anymore." Moments later, silence followed. No one has publicly admitted to being on the other end of that call. What was said in those final minutes may never be fully known. Fans around the world were left shattered by the sudden loss. They had grown up watching him as Theo Huxtable, the witty son of Cliff and Claire on The Cosby Show. To them, he was not just a character, he was family. His journey beyond the sitcom showed depth, resilience, and talent as he pursued music directing and socially conscious projects. But behind the bright smile, the evidence suggests a man carrying a heavy emotional weight, one he rarely let the public see. The tragedy has sparked endless debates. Was his death simply a cruel twist of fate, or was it tied to the secrets hidden in that voicemail letter and call? Some argue he was preparing to reveal something explosive about Hollywood. Others believe it was a deeply personal struggle, one that fame and success could never shield him from. Whatever the truth, his final hours have become a haunting riddle, a story that refuses to fade. Even in death, Malcolm Jamal Warner leaves behind a legacy of inspiration and questions. He gave audiences laughter, joy, and unforgettable performances. Yet the mystery of his last day reminds us that even those we see as strong can be fighting silent battles. The unanswered questions are not just about what happened to him, but about how we as a society look past the pain of those who seem to have it all. As fans continue to revisit his work, the shadow of his final hours lingers. The voicemail still echoes, the letter still bleeds with emotion. The phone call still hangs in the air, and the world still asks, what really happened to Malcolm Jamal Warner? Was it coincidence? Was it conspiracy? Or was it the unbearable weight of silence? Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: his story is far from over. The most haunting twist came from someone no one expected, a hospice nurse nearby. She said Malcolm was still alive when the private ambulance arrived, barely breathing. His final words were not a cry, not a scream, just soft and deliberate. "Tell Tempest I forgive her. Claire, I am ready. The same words again, like a mantra. The nurse did not understand what Claire meant until the news started breaking. Then it clicked. This was not just about a show. This was about real love and loss. And suddenly, people everywhere started rewatching old Cosby Show clips differently, looking for signs, glances, pauses, moments that now felt deeper than they did before. Some said the show was never fiction. It was a family and a heartbreak wrapped in fame. And when that family broke, the pain spilled out in ways no one could control. Tempest eventually broke her silence, but not with an